Well, for one, we could see emergent coalition of reformed-minded politicians, then possible defectors from major parties, as well as technocrats and youth-focused advocates. The big question now, what role can the NDC realistically play? First, it may fragment the opposition vote if it draws support away from the PDP, potentially weakening its electoral strength in key races. Second, it could serve as a pressure point, forcing the PDP to reform internally, particularly on candidate selection, party discipline, and youth inclusion. And third, in a scenario where no single party dominates, the NDC could become a strategic coalition partner given its influence beyond its size. Much will depend on the NDC's ability to build grassroots structures, articulate a clear ideology, and distinguish itself in the crowded political field. As Nigeria's political terrain continues to evolve, all eyes will be on whether the Nigerian Democratic Congress becomes a disruptive force or simply another name in the long list of emerging parties. Madaki John Paul, AIT News, Abuja.
And joining us now to talk about this new political party is Mamman Damisa, Chairman, States Chairman Forum, NNPP. Thank you so much for joining us on AIT Reports. Mamman Damisa, can you hear me, please?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay, we have Barrister Thierry Chetam Nwala. Thank you so much for joining us on AIT Reports. Can you hear me, please?
Thank you for having me. Loud and clear.
I will need you to unmute yourself if you... Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, let's begin by getting your reaction to the emergence of the Nigerian Democratic Congress.
Well, you know, we have not had a shortage of political parties within this country. We have continued to have political parties, politicians or individuals go register political parties and come to aspire or contest for elections and all that. But you see, I have a problem with this duplication of political parties we have everywhere, because the big question is what has been the impact of these numerous political parties we have continued to have? How have these numerous political parties affected us or changed our livelihood generally? Now the NDC has been registered. Well, political parties should naturally run based on ideology. And most of these politicians will tell you that they own these political parties based on ideology. But eventually, when you see the actions of these persons, it will tell you that none of these political parties follow the ideology in which the political party was actually formed. Look at the APC today. When the APC came on board, we felt the APC was formed based on an ideology to change things. But the APC has actually made things worse now in the country. Now we have the NDC. The ADC came, we saw the formation of the ADC, and they want to change the APC, which a lot of them were also part of the APC and even the Buhari's administration. Now we are having the NDC, which is still the same old stock. Now the problem right now is not about the stock. The problem we have is that we just have a group of disgruntled politicians who are just ready to change those in power and take over power, who are unhappy with the present system. Not because they want to bring change to bear, not because they want to change the lives of Nigerians, but because they are not happy that they are the ones in power. And we cannot continue with this trajectory. We should have patriots.
Chetam, don't you think that with the likes of Seriake Dixon in this new party, there's going to be a difference in the ideology?
Well, the truth of the matter is, as a senator, Seriake Dixon has distinguished himself as a senator based on the position he has taken in the Senate in recent times. But now the point is it's not just about Seriake Dixon. It's about the persons is coming together to form this coalition. Because if you look at it generally, the people seem not to be happy. The people seem to demand for a change. But the point is, demanding for this change is not enough. We must see the change on ground. We must see that Nigerians do not continue to live like they have always lived. And that is why we are saying that if we have this multiplicity of political parties, it is not enough. Now, if the opposition is also serious about taking out this Tinubu government that has brought serious action to Nigerians, they must also learn to work in synergy. Don't also forget that there's also a likelihood that the Tinubu administration, as well as the APC, would probably must have also sent or sponsored some of these persons to distract the opposition in the country. Because we have seen situations where we even saw the FC minister then, when he was actually in the PDP, they made sure they destroyed and killed the PDP. So that the PDP is not viable, and the rest of the opposition politicians are looking now for other options to actually run elections with. That is why you see the ADC and you see the NDC today. But now the point is this: beyond all this, what is in it for Nigerians? How can Nigerians trust these same persons who did not perform in their previous role, who failed in their previous role, to bring a difference or to make a difference? How do Nigerians trust these same persons again? Because it's like we're recycling the same set of persons.
So this doesn't look like a game changer for you at all?
No, it's not. It's actually not, because the truth of the matter is that experience has shown us that that this set of persons are just unhappy with the fact that they are no longer in government, or they were probably betrayed by the Tinubu's administration. But to be fair to everyone, the Tinubu's administration is a terrible administration, one of the worst we have had in recent times. And in all honesty, I would welcome any government that is willing to take out this particular administration and to make sure that we have a better governance. But my fear is that these are the same persons that continued with Tinubu in the APC. These are the same persons that was in the Jonathan's PDP. These are the same persons that have destroyed the Nigerian economy and destroyed this nation. So how do I trust this set of persons? And that's why I tell people that, for me as a person, in my opinion, when it comes to the next election, the only man I can trust that can change Nigeria till tomorrow is
Chetam, I'll come to you. What do you think at this point? Should we be doing a merger, or we should keep multiplicating political parties? If we're...
See, the point is not about, the point is, what about after merging? What about after merging we come together, remove this government, and we still repeat the same thing? How is that? How will that change the trajectory of things? And this is the challenge we have right now. It is not about whether we are of political parties, but the issue is, at the end of the day, would Nigerians reap the benefits of this whole thing? How would Nigerians benefit from this whole action? That's the main thing. That's the concern some of us have. It is not about who is in charge of the nation, but who is ready to give Nigerians the needed change and to make this country progress. This country has gone 20 years backward since the APC government came on board. So it is not about how many political parties we have and how many persons are coming together but to be fair, if anybody is willing, if the opposition is ready to take out or wants to take out this particular administration, they must work as one. And they must not continue to multiply political parties. It is not necessary. It is not important. So they must work as one. And that is what is important at this point.
Thank you so much.
For me, what is even more important is that Nigerians must feel the effect of our decision to support a coalition that will take away this demonic Tinubu's administration that has brought pains to Nigerians.
Thank you so much, Barrister Chetam Unwala, a political analyst. Thank you for your contributions on AIT reports. Moving on, the hope for a unified People's Democratic Party remains dim as rival factions continue to drift apart. Findings by AIT News on Sunday suggest that a workable resolution is nowhere in sight, with key groups still failing to come to the table to address a deep-seated leadership crisis rocking the party. Spokesperson for the National Caretaker Committee, Jangudu Mohammed, is alleging that the Turaki camp is seeking to obtain a court order to stop its planned national convention after repeatedly declining several invitations to participate in reconciliation talks.
Despite public talks of reconciliation, The feuding sides in the PDP remain deeply entrenched in their positions. The National Caretaker Committee group, which is aligned with FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, is now raising an alarm. They alleged that the Kabiru Turaki-led group is plotting to secure a court injunction, specifically to stall the party's forthcoming national convention. The Wike-backed camp insists that their legitimacy is settled, citing previous judgments from the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal, which recognize the current National Working Committee as the valid body to pilot party affairs.
We are aware of moves by this group led by Kabiru Tanimu Turaki SAN to approach courts in Ibadan in a bid to secure an injunction to halt the forthcoming national convention. This is particularly unfortunate given that the leadership of the party had in good faith extended several invitations and opportunities for reconciliation and dialogue. Regrettably, these overtures were ignored as the state faction failed to present itself for meaningful engagement.
In a bid to protect its upcoming activities, the party is formally calling on the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court and the State Chief Judge to intervene. They're urging the judiciary to take notice of what they describe as deliberate attempts to frustrate the party's democratic processes through legal maneuvers.
These judicial pronouncements are binding and remain in full force. We therefore urge all members of our party and the general public to be guided accordingly and disregard any contrary claims or misleading narratives.
In a telephone interview, the Turaki-led PDP, through its spokesperson, Ini Ememobong, reacted to the allegations, describing it as false, saying the allegations by the Abdurrahman's group show they are not ready, but they are hopeful for a resolution. But if resolution doesn't work, then they will find a way forward.
Well, we've heard the false allegation. You know, people who cry wolf are usually very deceptive. And so it is not true that we are averse to reconciliation. The world would rather see that from the day we took a decision to reconcile, we have de-escalated, we have avoided media interviews, and anytime we've had a media interview, we've rather elevated the idea of reconciliation and kept other things, since they are not willing and ready, you know, for negotiation. I'm sure that their disposition, which they still claim to support the president, is what is keeping them. But for us, we are hopeful that reconciliation works. But if it doesn't, then we'll pick it from there.
Despite the legal shadow and internal friction, the PDP is urging its members and the general public to remain hopeful. The leadership maintains that the date for the National Convention remains unchanged and insists the party is fully prepared to deliver a convention that is not only successful, but transparent and credible. Amaka Okoro, AIT News, Abuja.
And now let's move to another major development story, the arrival of United States military personnel in Nigeria, alongside reports of advanced drone deployment, raising questions about regional security and international cooperation. Officials confirmed that troops from the United States Department of Defense have landed in Nigeria as part of what has been described as a strategic partnership with the Nigerian government. While exact numbers have not been publicly disclosed, and sources say the deployment includes specialized units trained in surveillance, intelligence and counter-terrorism operations. AIT security correspondent Adanoye has more.
The presence of these forces comes at a time of heightened security concerns across West Africa. Nigerian authorities have been battling insurgent groups for years, particularly in the country's northern regions. At the center of this deployment are unmanned aerial systems, commonly known as drones. Defense officials say these drones will be used for reconnaissance, border monitoring, and potentially precision operations. While proponents argue the technology enhances security and minimizes risk to human life, critics warn about sovereignty concerns and the potential for civilian impact. A spokesman for the Nigerian Ministry of Defense says the collaboration is aimed at strengthening Nigeria's ability to combat terrorism and protect its citizens. Reaction on the ground is mixed. Some residents welcome the additional support, hoping it will bring stability. Others express concern over foreign military presence and the long-term implications for national independence. Security analysts note that this move reflects a broader shift in global military strategy, where partnerships and technology, especially drones, are playing an increasingly central role in conflict zones. For now, both governments emphasize that the mission is limited and focused, but as more details emerge, the deployment is likely to draw continued attention, both home and abroad. Ada Ononye, AIT News, Abuja.
President Bola Tinubu on Sunday declared that insecurity represents the next critical phase of Nigeria's national struggle, as state governors paid him a solemn homage at his Lagos residence. And speaking during the visit, the president expressed gratitude to the governors for turning up at short notice, describing the gesture as a strong demonstration of unity, sincerity, and shared commitment to the country's progress.
I'm making effort, frantic effort, to contact other nations. If we have to spend our goodwill and line of credit, we have those who are willing to support us with equipment and training. We should just resolve. While you say it's not time for policy discussion, we have a pyramid that we must work on in the state. I will not single out any states that I observe a number of things that they are doing. You are all doing well, but you can do better.
Made strides, the challenge of insecurity now stands as a major obstacle to development, prosperity, and stability, stressing that collective action is required to overcome it. He assured the governors of his determination to strengthen coordination and expand the necessary networks to confront security threats, noting that the fight must be pursued with renewed vigor and collaboration across all levels of government. Dozens of residents in Calabar South, Cross River State, are battling severe burn injuries after a gas explosion tore through a densely populated neighborhood, destroying more than 20 homes and leaving families stranded. The explosion triggered during a routine gas transfer along a Dibe road has not only exposed safety lapses in residential areas, but also sparked outrage over delayed emergency response as the state government steps in with urgent relief measures.
What began as a routine gas transfer quickly spiraled into disaster in Calabar South after a hose reportedly detached, releasing highly flammable fumes into the area. Moments later, the fumes ignited, unleashing a raging fire that tore through homes and shops, leaving residents scrambling for safety. Eyewitnesses say that the speed and density of the fire left little room for escape, as entire buildings were consumed within minutes. They also alleged that efforts to reach emergency respondents were unsuccessful, as calls to the fire service did not yield immediate action.
Even when they send the numbers to me, I tried calling the fire service, they said they are not coming. They refuse to come. And they say, oh, you people are looking for us now. People should go back. Go and quench the fire. It was unfair.
There was an explosion. Even people from far away self. There was one guy I saw fire from far distance. Fire already killed his skin. So it was a very massive explosion. But we thank God that no one died.
At the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, the UCTH, the Chief Medical Director, Ikpeme, confirmed that at least 51 victims are receiving treatment for varying degrees of burns, with several in critical condition.
A total number of 51 persons are involved with different categories of burns. They've been triaged. The very severe ones are having surgical debridement right now.
Governor Basio, too, during a visit to the scene, condemned the siting of gas facilities within residential communities, warning that such practices endanger lives. He also announced immediate government intervention, directing free medical treatment for all injured victims and compensation for affected property owners.
What I've seen here is shocking. It's a huge, huge, huge damage. I know very well this kind of facility should not be in a residential area, but unfortunately, this one is here. I believe that things have to be done to safeguard this kind of occurrences the next time. But we have several casualties now in the hospital, and we also have people's houses that are damaged. I think government is going to do something about it very quickly.
As investigations get underway, authorities see attention is now focused on accountability and stricter enforcement of safety regulations, measures many residents believe are long overdue. Inemesat Ifiok, AIT News, Calabar.
The people of Uromi and Ayakuro communities in Ogbia local government area of Bayelsa State have commended the Niger Delta Development Commission for making good its promise through the donation of relief materials. According to the people, the NDDC gesture would go a long way in alleviating their sufferings and following 2025 flood that ravaged most parts of the communities.
Uromi and Ayakuro communities in Ogbia local government area of Bayelsa State are the latest beneficiaries of NDDC intervention through the donation of relief materials. The gesture by the NDDC was to help alleviate the suffering of the affected communities from last year's flooding that ravaged most sections of the affected communities.
The need assessment that was done by this NGO shows that there's a lot of hunger in the land, and the Niger Delta Development Commission seems it's very important to show this human face to those that are having hunger. It's one of the sustainable development goals to wipe away poverty.
The people thank the NDDC for the gesture and promise to ensure fairness in the distribution of the relief materials.
I and the community is excited with the relief material, the palliatives that NDDC have sent to us. This community is a flood-prone community. Everything that life needs, NDDC has brought.
Ayakuro was heavily impacted, and there was need for us to cry out for people to support, and we thank God that the Niger Delta Development Commission management came to our rescue.
Amongst items donated by the NDDC are cooking items, toiletries, and beverages. Chibuchichuku, AIT News, Ogbia.
Akwa Ibom State Governor Umoeno says the state's internally generated revenue has risen significantly from about 2 billion naira to 7 billion naira monthly, following the implementation of the Treasury single account. He made this known at the Government House monthly prayer meeting in Uyo, the state capital.
This government is the first government. In a move aimed at blocking financial leakages and strengthening accountability, the administration of Governor Umoeno introduced a Treasury single account system across government institutions. Within just 1 month of its implementation, the governor says the impact has been substantial, with revenue inflows more than tripling. The TSA, a financial management tool designed to consolidate government revenues into a single account, is expected to enhance transparency and improve fiscal discipline. This is a document that at least pays salaries. So if for any reason Abuja delays, we should be able to pay salaries. And until we do that, we will not rest. Today we are running the TSA account, and all of a sudden, within 1 month, our intelligent revenue, the month we used to get 2-point-something billion, we'll go for Thanksgiving. All of a sudden, it became 7 billion. So where was the money already? You see, me, I will not mind this propaganda,
but this state belongs to all of us. We will do what God has placed in our hands to do.
Governor Eno emphasized that the improved revenue profile would enable his administration to better fund development projects and deliver on key priorities.
I want to assure Akwa Ibom that we are running on the blueprint that we presented to the state, and we are working tirelessly by the grace of God to ensure that we achieve those things. We want to make our state self-sufficient, and we are trying the very best we can. In the next few years, we should be able to raise our internally generated revenue.
The government says the revenue boost marks a critical step towards economic stability and sustainable growth for the state, and that the TSA policy will continue to be strengthened to sustain the gains recorded so far. Idon Sirikono, AIT News, Uyo.
There is growing international attention on Nigeria's high-level dignitaries are in the country for the 2026 Afri-Caribbean Summit. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew, with over 100 delegates and senior government officials from across the Caribbean are in Nigeria for the event. The Prime Minister says the summit will create a greater pathway to prosperity of both Africa and the Caribbean nations.
Signal the beginning of renewed diplomatic and economic engagement between Africa and the Caribbean. Leading the delegation, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew, says the 2026 edition of the summit is expected to deepen cooperation in trade, investment, culture, agriculture, and health. According to him, more than 100 delegates from across the Caribbean are already in the country.
I would call the transatlantic bridge, the connection between the Caribbean and Africa. And I think that it is bearing fruit, because this year we expect to, of course, expand on what we would have done last year. This time, I have brought with me a significant number of young people. I've also brought with me on this flight others from different countries within the Caribbean region. But I brought the young people really to expose them so that they, I would say, can expand their horizons.
The presence of at least 10 Caribbean ministers underscores the importance attached to the summit, which is seen as a platform to unlock new economic opportunities and reinforce historical ties between both regions.
Thank you to the ministers from across the OECS for believing in this vision, believing in the mission. Thank you to the people of Nigeria for also collaborating with us in the Caribbean. I believe it's going to be a powerful summit. I believe the outcomes will be measurable, and they will set history, not just for this era, not just for our generation, but for many generations to come.
Organizer and the managing director of Aquarian Consult, Aisha Mena, says Nigeria as host is positioning itself as a gateway for broader African-Caribbean collaboration.
It is my absolute pleasure to say that this second edition, just the second edition, has over 15 countries represented from the Caribbean and Africa, focusing on agriculture and food security, health, creative economy, and of course, investments. So if you haven't registered, do so now, because this is history in the making.
From Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, attention is now firmly on the outcomes of the summit, with expectation high for concrete agreements that will shape future cooperation between Africa and the Caribbean. Landry Babalola, AIT News, Abuja.
How much is the cost of grains where you live? Well, in Gombe State, major staple food in most parts of the north is on the rise, a contrast between official economic data and the cost of food items. AIT's Chika Odekwo was at the Gombe Grains Market and filed in this report.
I am Chika Udempo at the busy grains market here in Gombe State. An interesting day to look at the cost of grains in the market.
Today price is 1,300 because the price is decreased due to these solar activities. Yesterday we sell it at 1,200 200, even 1,150.
It's iron beans. It's 1,450.
Why is it expensive? Why? Well, how much was it before?
It's 1,2.
Despite reports on the drop in inflation, the cost of grains is still on the high side due to the cost of transportation and electricity.
Before
it's 1,350.
Now it's how much?
Now it's 1,450.
Why?
Because of the market, there is no light. We don't have light in the town. There is scarcity of the rice. That is why.
Because this rice is come from green, which is engine machine. So in terms of no light, no electricity, so the price will decrease. Yes.
It's not gainsaying that indeed trading business still thrives despite the high cost of foodstuff. For Nigerians, both the buyer and the seller, one thing is certain: life goes on and business still continues.
And from the northeast state of Gombe, let's take you to the southeast state of Enugu, where Nigerians' easy inflation rate does not seem to resonate with sellers and buyers there. Our correspondent Kelechi Keledu went to the Obete main market, one of the busiest markets in Enugu State, southern Nigeria, to take stock of how this is truly reflecting in people's daily lives.
Has there really been any meaningful relief in the cost of living in Nigeria? Well, the latest Consumer Price Index released by the National Bureau of Statistics shows a slight drop in headline inflation for the month of February 2026. The Bureau attributes this marginal decline to improved food supply, a relative stability in exchange rate, and earlier government policy measures. But when it comes to food, which matter most to everyday Nigerians, the picture appears less convincing, with prices of most basic staples still under pressure. So we are here at the Obete main market, one of the biggest markets in Enugu State, southeast Nigeria, to ascertain firsthand from those buying and selling what is actually happening. Tell us your name, please.
My name is Mrs. Nena. You okay?
Nena sells various food items, including gari, rice, and beans. She says the cost of purchasing these items has continued to rise since December.
So we bought 30,000 per bag, but now they are 710.
That's for beans.
For beans, including the rice. They are selling 105. But we bought it 90,000 last year. So by February, they sold it 105.
She is not alone. For Amadi Ephraim, a crayfish seller, his experience appears to partly reflect the MBS position. He says while prices were relatively lower earlier in the year, they have begun to climb again in recent weeks.
From January, there is a little bit fair, We sold like a penta 8,000 naira from January, but today, which is March, can sell a penta 12,000 naira.
Similarly, Ngozi Obase, a yam seller, walks us through the price changes for what yams sold for just weeks ago to what they cost now. A shift that clearly points to rising prices.
It's 6,000. The one where we they say 1,000 is 1,500. Rice, penta, we they say 3,500 before. But penta 9 is 4,000. Beta rice, 4,500. Gura rice.
As for the reasons behind these increases, the traders point to rising transportation costs, largely driven by fuel prices, as well as the seasonal availability of food items. But from the buyer's perspective, Innocent Enyi believes the situation reflects what he describes as misplaced government priorities.
Government is not doing well. Everybody continue telling 2027 election. What of today?
Kelechi Ekeledo, AIT News, Enugu.
And we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you more reports.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.com. at AIT_X, AIT Online.
In Bukure, 1 year after 16 hunters were brutally killed hundreds of kilometers away in Uromi, Edo State, their families are still living with the pain and the unanswered promises that followed their death. In the days that followed the killings, there were assurances of justice and compensation. Today, those promises feel distant as hope slowly gives way to frustration and despair. Correspondent Enemona Ocheme reports that families of the victims in Kano are now demanding urgent action, describing the situation as a painful reminder of promises unkept by the Edo State government.
At about this time in 2024, Edo State Governor Monday Okpebolo paid a condolence visit to his Kano State counterpart Abba Yusuf and his people before proceeding to Far Bunkure, the home of community of the slain hunters. At that meeting in Government House, Governor Okpebolo disclosed that suspects linked to the killings had been arrested. But beyond arrests, the people of Kano wanted something deeper: justice for the dead and relief for those left behind.
So General have directed the DIG, CID at the force headquarters, Abuja, to take over the investigation.
The victims' family should be compensated. I have every belief you will do that.
One moment that brought temporary comfort to the grieving community was the physical presence of the Edo State Governor. Standing before families weighed down by loss, Governor Okpebolo assured them that justice will not be delayed and that compensation will be paid.
Wallahi, there is some justice.
My administration will ensure that adequate compensation is paid to the families of the bereaved, and we will speed up the investigation and make sure that those found culpable face the law and be punished. But please, in the name of Allah, do not take laws into your hands, as justice will be served.
But exactly 1 year later, those assurances appear to have faded. For many of the families, life has only grown harder. Breadwinners gone, and in their place are widows, forced into unfamiliar struggles, and children pushed into hardship. Some family members say they feel forgotten as both justice and compensation remain out of reach.
It is very disappointing that a governor who made promises here last year would do nothing 1 year after, leaving Kano State Governor, who is mourning, to meet the needs of the bereaved. We hope that the needful is done urgently. This is not fair at all.
Amid the disappointment, the Kano State government has stepped in to provide some relief. Governor Abba Yusuf, through the Commissioner for Information Ibrahim Weah, sent food items, clothing, and financial support to the affected families to help ease their burden, especially during the festive season.
Each of the people who died, the governor has sent me to give their families 300,000 naira each. In addition, the governor has asked that each of the bereaved families be given 2 bags of rice so they can celebrate this season too. This is for their immediate families and their parents. We must appreciate Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf for standing in the gap at this difficult time. Today, many of the children of those killed are left in sorrow, but Governor Abba Yusuf has listened to their cries.
While the gesture offers temporary relief, bereaved families say it does not replace what has been lost, nor does it fulfill the promises made. They are now openly expressing frustration, calling on the Edo State government to act, not just with words, but with tangible results. The Kano state government is reassuring the families that more support is underway, even as calls for justice grow louder, noting that it is aware compensation will be paid in no distant time.
So far, an account has already been opened, a bank account, dedicated for the victims, families, and already the promise is on. The process is on for the payment of the money, and we're hoping any moment from now, the Edo State government will release or will pay the money into that particular account, and all the families concerned will also be paid in.
For these families, time has not healed the wounds. It has only deepened the silence around them. As they hold on to the memories of those they lost, their message is clear. Justice delayed is justice denied, and promises made must not be forgotten. Enemona Ocheme, AIT News, Kano.
Next is Sports Track.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wherever life takes you, home is who you share iftar with. Ramadan Mubarak from Terra.
Welcome to Sports Track. I am Simbi Shima. We begin the news with reactions from the Guinean Football Federation, where it says it denies rumors that it is challenging the result of the match against Morocco from the 1976 African Cup of Nations. In a statement released on Sunday, dated 22nd of March 2026, the Federation confirms that there was no action has been taken with any sport authorities like CAS or the CAF. The FGF explains that the reports circulating online are false. It recalls that the match in 1976 ended 1-1 and under the competition format at the time, a final group stage of a single final match. Morocco rightfully won the trophy, and with Guinea finishing in second place. The Federation therefore urges the public and the media to rely on verified information and reaffirm its commitment to fairness, respect and unity for African football. And WAFU Zone B has launched its first Confederation of African Football Young Referees Course of the Year in Ghana. The initiative is aimed at improving refereeing standard across the West African sub-region. Selected young referees from member states will undergo technical training, modern officiating techniques, and exposure to global best practices. The program includes both theoretical and practical sessions, such as fitness tests, match simulations, and applications of laws of the game. Participants will also receive mentorship from CAF's certified instructors as they prepare for the future continental and international assignments. And Remo Stars and Kano Pillars boosted their survival hopes in the Nigeria Premier League football with a crucial match 31 victories, easing relegation pressures through strong performance. In Ikene, Remo Stars came from behind to defeat Kwara United 3-1 in a tense clash between two sides, unexpectedly fighting near both bottom to the table. The win lifted Remo Stars from 19th to 18th place with 36 points, while Kwara United dropped to the bottom with 33 points, deepening their relegation concerns. In Kano, Kano Pillars secured a 2-0 victory over Enyimba. Goals from Chidozie Okore and Ahmed Musa gave the host control and a vital 3 points. The result moved Pillars up to 14th with 39 points, while Enyimba slipped to 16th, level on 36 points, with relegation threatened Wekatoris in 17th place. Elsewhere, Rangers International went to top after beating Academy Warriors, Katsina United, and Plateau United recorded narrow wins, while Warri Wolves drew with Bender Insurance and Ikorodu City were held to late by Kun Khalifat. Remaining fixtures include Niger Tornadoes and versus Abia Warriors, and Rivers United facing Nasarawa United to wrap up the match day 31 fixture in the MPFL. And on to some other league football. Manchester City have been crowned champions of the 2026 Carabao Cup after a 2-0 victory over Arsenal. 2 half goals from Nico O'Reilly did the job for Manchester City. The triumph sees City claim their 9th title in the competition, further cementing their dominance chance in English football, whereas Arsenal's failure to win ended their bid for an unprecedented quadruple this season. Despite the success, Pep Guardiola's side trailed behind Arsenal by 9 points in the Premier League title race. Elsewhere in Spain, Barcelona moved 7 points clear at the top of the La Liga table with a narrow victory over Real Vallecano at Spotify Camp Nou. Vinicius Junior elsewhere scored twice as second-place Real Madrid restored the gap to 4 points later on Sunday, beating rivals Atletico de Madrid 3-2 in a thrilling Madrid derby. Hansi Flick's side to travel to Atletico after the international break on Saturday, 4th of April, before facing them twice more in the Champions League later. And in basketball, a last-gap three-pointer secured a 105-104 victory for Los Angeles Lakers over the Orlando Magic in a thrilling finish in a Western Conference tie. The dramatic win came on a historic night for LeBron James, who set a new NBA record with his 1,612th regular season appearance. He moved past the previous mark of 1,611 games held by Robert Parrish. Luka Doncic led the Lakers with a 33 points, while James added 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. The victory extended the Lakers' winning streak and strengthens their push in the Western Conference standing. And finally, on sports, world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz has been knocked out of the Miami Open in the third round after a surprising 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 defeat by Sebastian Korda. Top seed Alcaraz, 22, produced a sloppy first set, which gave the American the early initiative, but Korda looked to have blown his chance in the second set. Korda served for the match at 5-4, but was broken to love by the Spaniard, who went on to win the next 2 games to force the set to the third round. Korda, ranked 36 in the world, confidently held his next 2 service games to close out the match, sealing the win on his second match point as Alcaraz overhit a return. Korda, 25, is the lowest ranked man to defeat Alcaraz since world number 55 David Goffin of Belgium upset the Spaniard in the second round in Miami Open last year. Korda, who reached the quarterfinals of the Miami Open in 2021 and 2025, but has never gone further, will now face 14th seed Karen Kachavov or qualifier Martin Landkov in the 4th round. And our sports track on AIT Post. Thanks for watching. I am Simbi Shimahani. Back to Ogom Izedimbo.
So much. Minister of Works David Umahi has raised alarm over the reckless habit of tanker and truck drivers parking along the completed carriageway of Akpaju on the East-West Road section in Rivers State. Umahi earned that such actions are capable of damaging the 15 kilometers dualized road, which has cost the present administration billions of naira.
The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, is in Rivers State for his routine inspection of ongoing projects along the East-West Road. This time, the minister is not very happy with what he described as deliberate attempts by heavy-duty truck drivers to convert carriageways into parking lots, an act which he said is capable of vandalizing the roads.
Let me, appeal to the public. Yesterday, I was, passing through this road. The entire route we have completed, we're totally blocked. Not blocked by moving vehicles. Big trucks, fuel tankers, they parked on the road. And you will see, even as we are going out now, you will see that they are still parked. No road project anywhere in the world that is designed for static loads. They will destroy the road. And if they destroy the road, it's difficult for government to immediately come and start reconstructing this road. The entire project cost is over 230 billion. Is that what we should fold our hands and allow it to be destroyed? I'm talking about phases 1 and 2. The phase 1 is the road and the retaining walls, 156 billion. And the phase 2 is all the flyovers and the bridges, 83 billion. It's a very, very expensive project. So I appeal to you to talk to the public. Let us protect our own.
Earlier, the Federal Controller of Works, Tarilade Nweriama, and some officials of the ministry expressed satisfaction with the progress of work and revealed that the right-hand carriageway, known as the Eket bound, is fully completed, while work in Port Harcourt bound section has advanced.
The progress of work is very impressive. As you all know, we've completed the right-hand section of the road, which is the Eket bound, and we're on the Port Harcourt section. We're working on the carriageway. We've gotten CRUCP, we've gotten to kilometer 3, almost to the end of the project. Hopefully by May, we're going to launch this one too.
We are thanking Mr. President for this road, and we are thanking Minister for being a hands-on minister for supervising this road and other projects of Mr. President. I was a commissioner in the last government, and throughout my tenure in Ebonyi State, we didn't have any federal presence. In fact, in anywhere in Southeast, this road has been in the budget for more than 20 years. Enugu Port Harcourt, every time Enugu Port Harcourt, Lagos Ibadan, the same thing. But this government is actualizing the dreams of the people.
The minister further revealed that plans are on the way to construct parking lots along the axis, while urging truck drivers to desist from parking along the carriageway, as there are already visible cracks at the edges of the road. Akahan Nserim, AIT News, Port Harcourt.
That's AIT Reports. I'm Ogom Izedibo. Thanks for staying with us.